Hello hunters and welcome to the first ever Viewer's Choice video. Today's video will be covering 6 general misconceptions I see frequently with Monster Hunter Wilds that I want to clear up. This video was on the back burner for a little bit, but thanks to the support on Patreon, a poll posted was voted on and this video was selected. As such, I gave it increased priority. If you would like to vote on future video ideas, please consider becoming a member on Patreon. Let's kick things off with misconception number 1, capture versus carve. Now, if you are familiar with my channel, you'll know I released a whole video about this a little while back. However, I still see certain thoughts expressed about the differences between the two, so I want to give the synopsis on that video and extrapolate. The takeaway from that video was, if you want a gem in as few fights as possible, employing the Carver Pro meal and or the armor skill from the festival armors will give you the best odds. If you need more monster parts besides gems, or if you are going to fight monsters more than 3 times, capturing is the superior option. Prior to Monster Hunter World, this was not the case. Including Rise, previous entries in the series employed different pools for capture rewards and carving rewards. This is partly the misconception I want to clear up. Besides the deductive reasoning I posed in that video, dataminers also determined the pools in Wilds are the same, and therefore the quality of rewards is the same. You are not more likely to get any one specific item from any one specific carve or any one capture reward. As for whether capture or carving is better, in the short term it really doesn't matter. Whatever is more fun for you, the hunter, is the better option. That being said, assuming the loot pools between capture and carve remain the same, mathematically capturing will always beat out carving. If a capture happens in 5 minutes, and a slay happens in 5.5 minutes, which is an overly generous difference for the current endgame content, not accounting for load times, carve times, and anything else not directly related to fighting a monster, over the course of 1,000 hours of playing. If you capture, you complete 12,000 hunts, versus carving, where you would complete only 10,909 hunts. That is a difference of 1,091 hunts. That's a minimum of 3,273 rewards in the same amount of time. Not because capturing is inherently better than carving, but simply because you can do more captures in less time. Obviously, this efficiency, funny enough, is a double-edged sword for players that don't want to speed up their playthroughs. If you want to slay because you like it, or you don't want to make the game shorter, or any reason really, that is your prerogative. But if your goal is to maximize rewards or minimize time, in the long run, capturing wins. In the same vein as the capture versus kill misconception, I want to discuss titles earned from hunting monsters. There is the idea that captured monsters do not count towards acquiring the titles listed per monster in the Large Monster Field Guide. This idea comes from the poor descriptors in the field guide, so let's take a closer look. Here we have my Seikrets record. It states I have 63 hunted and 28 captured. Some players believe this means that I have hunted Seikrets a total of 91 times, with 63 ending in carves and 28 ending in captures. This is wrong, and is our second misconception. The 63 hunted is the total amount I have beaten, regardless of outcome, while the capture indicates how many of that total has ended in captures. In this case, my carve count would be 35. This is evident as capturing a monster raises both the capture number as well as the hunted number. Let's look at my Chotacabra count. It lists an embarrassing 130 hunted and 57 captured. Now, when I capture this Chotacabra, if hunted corresponds to carves, then only the capture number should rise. However, we can see that is not the case. Capturing this Chota has resulted in both the captured and the hunted number rising by 1. If these numbers worked the way some players have mistakenly interpreted, the hunted would instead say slayed. Taking this a step further, just to test this definitively, I made a new character and played the game up to the point where you get the Large Monster Field Guide. This occurs just after you beat Quematrice for the first time. As you can see, I have fought and beat the Chotacabra 19 times, none of which were captures. With one final fight ending in capture, I will have carved 19 times and captured once. Here at the end of the fight, my hunted number has risen to 20, while my capture number now sits at 1, and we do not have the check mark by the title. Once the mission is fully completed, however, we see the pop-up that a new title was earned, the checkmark now appears in the guide, and the title also appears in my hunter profile. Capturing counts toward title progression, with 3 distinct exceptions. If you want to take a second to try and guess who... Time's up! If you said Jindahad, Zoshia, and Guardian Arkveld, you would be correct. Jindahad and Zoshia cannot be captured, and as such, slaying is required to earn their titles. Guardian Arkveld is a separate case in which the large monster field guide indicates that hunting him once qualifies for the title, but the only mission in which we fight Guardian Arkveld, Chapter 3-4 Broken Chains, indicates we have to slay him. Just an odd little quirk I thought was interesting. And now comes another misconception that ties into this. Let's rewind back to my Chotacabra data. What do you notice? Besides the number hunted, we can see that the largest and smallest recorded size are the same. Up to this point in the game, I have only fought 3 different missions, 2 of which involve Chotacabra, the story mission where we save Isai, and the optional mission thereafter. Why is this important? There is a misconception when it comes to hunting monsters and crown sizes. I have fought Chotacabra in a single story mission and 19 optional runs, and yet despite the 20 hunts total, the largest and smallest size are the same. This would indicate that there is not any size variance between the Chotacabra as it appears in the story or the subsequent optional mission. Therefore, a monster cannot be a crown size in the story or an optional quest by random chance. If the monster in the story or an optional quest is a crown, it will always be a crown, and if it is not, it never will be. This makes sense, as having any variability in the story or optional quests could lead to 2 different hunters having completely different experiences as they progress the game. By standardizing the monsters in these mission categories, it provides every player with the same experience until such time that investigations, field surveys, and event quests can be accessed. Another misconception relates to great hunts, meaning the hunts where 2 monsters are targeted. The idea is that because there are now 2 monsters in the hunt, the health of the monsters is cut by a certain percentage, as now we have a default 50-minute timer in which we have to hunt not 1 but 2 monsters. This makes sense, and was true in previous titles like World. However, a thorough Redditor by the name of Cuttlebro tested this soon after the release of the game. Using an overlay mod, he pulled the monster health out of the game code as it was for each hunt he entered. A discovery was made when using this mod in a great hunt. The HP values for 3 different monsters fell into the exact expected ranges he had identified for them when fighting them without a second monster. While monster health is affected by the number of hunters in the fight, the strength star level of the monster, and some innate variability coded in, great hunts do not change monster health amounts. This seems strange, as a number of reports from players indicate that their perception is the time it takes to hunt 2 monsters separately and then fight those same monsters in a great hunt do not add up, and the great hunt is faster. There are a number of variables as to why this may be, but I set out to experiment to see if this was in fact the case. I saved 3 investigations, one for a solo tempered Nerscylla, another for a solo frenzied Hirabami, and lastly the great hunt mission where they both were present. I then fought each one once to see how long it took and how much health they had. Recording the fights, I worked out how much damage I performed, and here are the results. All monsters were slain. The solo tempered Nerscylla took 2 minutes 44 seconds to clear. The solo frenzied Hirabami took 1 minute 4 seconds to clear, for a total of 3 minutes 48 seconds. Doing the great hunt, the combined time was 4 minutes 47 seconds, a full minute longer. This is not a fair comparison, however, as by all accounts my fights in the solo instances were cleaner. In the great hunt, I was knocked down more by Hirabami, and during the Nerscylla hunt, not only was I paralyzed by the Vespoids, but Nerscylla transitioned into another area before I could end the hunt. So, with that in mind, rather than time, I focused on the health of the monsters based on the total amount of damage performed. Cuttlebro identified that the health internal to investigation attempts of the same monster will fluctuate, but those fluctuations are not the 15 or 20% that should be expected of great hunts. So after adding all the damage numbers on the monsters per fight, these are the results. The solo Nerscylla had 11,720 health, the solo Hirabami had 4,717, and the same monsters in the Great Hunt had 12,482 and 4,736 respectively. You heard that right. In my single test instance, both monsters actually had more health than their solo counterparts. The Nerscylla had 6% more, and the Hirabami only had 0.4% more. This amount of variance, I believe, is likely a result of the internal coding of monsters and the variability of their health pools, and not significant enough to be attributable to Great Hunt health changes. Moving on to Wylk crystals and their growth on Guardian monsters. If you did not know, constructs, large or small, when slain, have a chance to crystallize instead of rotting like a normal corpse. There is a misconception that the frequency at which monsters crystallize is tied to where the corpse falls, with a body in a Wylk pond giving an increased chance to have them grow the crystals. I have footage of a few large monsters and many more Guardian Seikrets, with them in and out of the Wylk pools, and from what I can tell there is no discernible pattern of crystallization versus rotting. The environment, or specifically the Wylk pools, do not seem to play a role in whether a monster crystallizes or not. It's a random chance, just like the Wyvern sprouts on the small monsters. Lastly, this is a very simple misconception, but it is important and kind of a pet peeve of mine. Look at these two symbols. They are different, but due to the color and the shape, they get confused for each other constantly. This pin shape is an indication that this monster, or the mission they will make, has the potential to give you an item that is on your wish list. This could indicate things like monster parts, or items that can roll in their rewards. More on that in a second. This Lightbulb symbol is an indication that the monster or environmental element is important enough to be listed on the environmental overview page of your map. The light bulbs essentially allow the player to visually identify while searching the map any monster or other element that may be of some value or importance as identified by the game. While this could include a monster that has parts on your wish list, think of this more as the game informing you of what is worth doing in the area. Back to the pin symbol. With the addition of the new talisman system and the 9-star monsters, there's a little trick you can do to show you what monsters in the forecast are 8-star or 9-star. By wishlisting items that require hunter symbol 3s to the point where you need more than you have, any 8-star tempered apex or title update monster will receive a pin by their name. If you see a monster that you believe should qualify, but does not have a pin, this is because it is a 9-star monster and will not drop the tickets you wishlisted. Using this method, you can identify whether upcoming monsters are 8-star, if they have the pin, or 9-star, if they don't. I hope this video cleared up these misconceptions. A note from me, I don't want anyone using the information in this video to harass players that don't yet know these are in fact misconceptions. Instead, please feel free to share this video, or any of my videos, or otherwise direct them to this channel so that we can help further educate the Monster Hunter community. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you know of other misconceptions, leave them in the comments and I may make a follow-up video. And if you aren't, please consider subscribing to the channel or becoming a Patreon member. Thanks for watching. May your RNG be kind and the desire sensor be blind. Goodbye for now, but not for long.